So I'll start with the in-grades. Lumascape's known for in-grade, so it's probably a nice place for us to start. The E4 is one of the smaller of the foundation products, in-grade products. It has a lumen output of 1850 lumens. It's very efficient with a power consumption of only 18 watts. I won't go through all of the details of the product, but the important things to note are that they are available in lots of different white colour temperatures from 2700 all the way through to 5000 Kelvin. And also lots of different beam angles from 10 degrees up to 47. We also have some beautiful elliptical beams as well. So really nice for grazing and wall washing. As well as that, we've got a couple of different options of glass as well, which is useful. So the OptiClear and the grip glass, which is a slip-resistant technology that Lumascape has created. So just taking a really quick look, I won't go through this in a great deal of detail, but there are lots and lots of options. All of the major options that are available in the full feature power sync variants are still available on the foundation products. Just the control is a little bit different. We also have the E6, so it's a little bit more powerful at around about 2,400 lumens, and all of the same key features. So the same color temperatures, the same glass options, and the same beam angles as the E4, just a little bit more powerful. So just taking a look at some of the key features of these products. Obviously, the number one key feature is that they support direct Dali. That's what this particular release is all about. We have human touch on these. So human touch is a technology that Lumascape developed back in the day of metal halides. And it's a method of making sure that the glass temperatures don't exceed a temperature which would otherwise be unsafe. The thing about in-grades is that they're generally mounted and installed somewhere that's very accessible, which is in the ground. People like to be attracted to them. Little people like to be attracted to them. So it's very important that the temperatures are maintained at a very low temperature, just in case someone decides to touch one of these. Our lids are 316 stainless steel, which is a marine grade, the highest marine grade. So it's a very, very robust, long life material to be making these light fixtures from. We also have a Teflon coated stainless steel screw. The reason that they're coated in Teflon is if ever you've done up a screw on a lid, which is a stainless steel screw on a stainless steel lid, there's something that happens called galling. So what the Teflon does is it allows us to use still high-grade stainless steels, but they don't gall together, they don't squeak, and they don't jam because they're lubricated by the Teflon. And that's a permanent lubrication, which is there for the life of the product. It allows you to do the screws up a little bit tighter, just to make sure that you've got the seal that the fixture is capable of having the best seal possible. All of the LEDs in these products are our premium Luxion LEDs. And also our premium designer optics. So with the designer optic, if you're familiar with our products, you'll notice or may have noticed that we have what we call a standard option of optics and a designer option of optics. The standard option has just a little bit higher output, whereas the designer has a spectacular color over angle, really nice whites, and it's just a really beautiful beam. In these particular products, we're only releasing them with designer, just to keep things a little bit more simple. The designer optic gives the best color over angle. It gives a really, really nice effect. So we think that the designer is most definitely the best option for these particular products. The gimbals inside are aimable, so you can rotate those, but you can also aim them plus minus 15 degrees, so very flexible. What also sets these apart from many other products in the market is the cans, or the enclosures themselves, are also made out of 316 stainless steel, which is a very high grade. What we often hear from the market, from clients, is that 316 may not be required for this in-ground application because it's not going to be wet all the time or very often. The problem with that approach is that when cast aluminium goes in the ground, it will corrode. There isn't really any way of stopping it, even when it's dry. We've found that there is literally no way of keeping that aluminium from corroding. So the best possible way is to build the luminaire out of 316 stainless steel, which is as I say, it's the highest possible grade material that could be used for this type of product. It's not uncommon to see these luminaires installed in the ocean and underwater as well. So they really are, well, I guess the bee's knees, the best for the job. These also have integrated thermal management system. So if the luminaire, for example, on a very hot day in the Middle East, it's left on in the sun or something like that, then the luminaires will actually switch themselves off to protect the life of the LEDs. They don't actually protect themselves against a catastrophic failure. They protect themselves against a shortening of the life. So it's even better than just making sure that they don't fail immediately. The thermal management system will switch off and will make sure that we maintain our 50,000 hour LED life. These are rated IP68. As I mentioned, it's not uncommon to see these mounted in fountains and also in the ocean. They're designed to operate at depths of up to 10 metres or 30 feet. They feature our micro anti-leach technology, which is a technology that we came up with many, many years ago. We discovered that if you have a light fixture which is in the ground and it is exposed to moisture of any kind at any point, what happens is, even if the fixture is completely sealed, you will find that the space between the copper wires in the cables is enough space for moisture to wick through and into the bottom of the light fixture, and the light fixture can actually fill itself up with water by pumping moisture through the cable. So this happens when the light fixture turns on. Obviously it warms up, the air inside it expands, that air bleeds out between the wires of the cables, and then when you switch them off, that air contracts and it pulls a vacuum. If there's any moisture present, it goes straight into the bottom of the luminaire. So the way that the micro anti-leach system works is we expose the copper cores and we actually seal those completely. So it's like a solid metal piece running through there, which then gets potted. So there is no gap or no way that moisture can actually wick through there. So it's a technology that we have had for a very long time. And this works all the way up to 150 watt metal halide. So it's a very, very robust way of making sure that moisture cannot get inside the fixture as long as the lid is sealed correctly. We also have a grip glass option. Grip glass is it's the application of a very fine ground up glass to the surface. What's important to note is that these are actually attached to the surface of the glass. It is not etched. The problem with etching the glass is that a piece of glass gets most of its strength from the surface, the top and the bottom surface. As soon as you etch that, most of the strength of the glass disappears. In order to maintain our IK9 and IK10 ratings, we have had to come up with a different technology, which, as I mentioned, is the application of that ground glass in a pattern to the front of the piece of glass, which makes it slip-proof, but it also makes sure that we maintain the strongest possible mechanical strength of the glass. We've also created a technology called Easy Glow. So with LEDs, the challenge with LEDs is that there are multiple point sources, and they can appear to be very, very glary. Part of the reason for that is there's a high contrast between where the LED is and where the LED is not. So the way that the Easy Glow works is it basically collects and light pipes light from the bottom of the optic and spreads it around the surface which surrounds the LED lenses, which reduces that contrast between where the LED is and where the LED isn't. So it's a much more comfortable effect, much less of very, very sharp little dots and more of an illuminated surface. So the performances, we've already had a look at those. So really, really nice photometric performance from these fixtures. We also have an OptiClear glass. So the OptiClear glass is, again, another technology that we've developed, which is a very high purity glass. The reason that that's important is that it doesn't block any light, so it has very, very high transmission. And because there's very low iron in the OptiClear glass, it also doesn't tint the light. So you don't get a green tinge when the light comes through. It's very clear, and the light coming through is very, very pure. Obviously, we have integral Dali control, because that's why we're here this morning. So just having a look at some of the options and the way they can be installed. The Erden E6 and the E4, they both come in a direct burial option, which comes pre-sealed. Basically, dig a hole in the ground and pop the fixture in. Very simple installation. The other way that you can do it is with the optional mounting collar system. So this allows us to mount into a deck or grating, and the luminaire is then attached inside that collar and suspended into the space beneath. And finally, and probably the most common, is the pre-installation concrete blockout. So it's very similar to the mounting collar, except there is a 316 stainless steel sleeve around the outside. This is a nice spec locker if we're working on projects where we'd like to lock a specification. If we supply the collar and the mounting tube ahead of time, it's very, very difficult to change the specification, given that the pre-installation has already been installed and is already basically fixes the product into the site. So it's very difficult to change it for a different product. Just having a look at the entire Foundation Dali series range in terms of performance. So the Erden E4 at 1850 lumens, nice high little output from a compact little package. The E6 is a higher output variant at 2390. The Century at almost 2500. We have the L3, which is almost 5000 lumens for a 4-foot fixture, which is a really high output and very, very comparable and competitive in the market. We also have the Q2, which is 3,500 lumens from a tiny little light fixture. The Q4, which is 5,000, 7,000 from the Q6, and 14,000 from the Q8. One thing that I think is probably worth mentioning while we have you guys as an audience is we have several different types of LED series that we offer in our products. And the reason for that is none of them are better than the others. They're just all a little bit different. So the designer optic is based on one LED. If you order several luminaires, different types of luminaires that are all based on designer optics, the color temperatures, the beams, everything will match. They are exactly the same. The standard is a little higher output and can look a little different than the designer. So if you're looking for something that matches everywhere, go for the designer across the board. We're also releasing some new products based on a Zycato and a Cree LED, which are going to be called or are called the Principal and Essential. So if you install an Essential product next to a designer product or in the same installation, they'll probably look pretty similar. They might look the same, but they won't be identical. So if you are looking for something identical, choose a series of products that come from the same LED series or the same lens series.